McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. That would make this the Mac Show on Birds 365. Appreciate you streaming on in. Hey, while you're here, go ahead and hit that like button. I forget to do this. They tell Jody, you tell them to hit the like button. And I forget every single day. So I apologize to my bosses at JAKIB Media because they say, you guys are getting good numbers. You get a whole bunch of streamers, but they don't hit the like button. Well, that's probably because they don't like me. But I guess I'm asking them to overlook that. Tell the world you like John McMullen. Hit that like button.
That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you.
Hit that like button right now while you're watching, while you're streaming with us. Thank you very much for doing so. All right, J-Mac, as I teased before we went to break. I think it was on NBC Sports Philly. Dave Zingaro is going to join us coming up in, 15 minutes from now? So I think it was on their website this morning, and they compiled a couple of mock drafts that are out there since we now know where each team is going to be drafting. With the regular season over and done with, they looked at where specific mock draft websites were suggesting the Eagles could be selecting at number 10 with the pick that they got from the New Orleans Saints. And one website, I think it was Pro Football Network, had Jalen Carter falling down to the Eagles at number 10.
Oh, my Lord.
I've seen other websites that suggest he will be the number one pick in the draft. Added a quarterbacks ahead of Anderson from Alabama. He made a couple of plays last night. Georgia just stone cold.
I would say his floor. Now, full disclosure, I have done no draft work because, the Eagles are kind of in an important role in the season. So I've done no draft prep. But Jalen Carter, the floor on him is 3. I mean, he's not falling below 3. He might go number 1. I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah, I might go 4 because the two quarterbacks could go 1, 2 for me. And there's always more of an emphasis on an edge guy than a DT. And the kid Anderson is thought to be that good from Alabama. So I'm with you. We're basically on the same page, just slightly a couple of lines.
It's outrageous, though.
10th, had him falling down to number 10 to the Eagles. I'm going, please.
I will say that.
If this guy isn't on the Eagles staff now, put him on the staff. Offer him a job if he can look at a crystal ball and make that happen.
I feel comfortable saying if he does fall to 10, the Eagles are going to take him.
Eagles will take him. You're going out on a limb there, McMullen.
Big limb.
Got to give you props for that one. Another one had them taking Bijan Robinson. What would you suggest the percentage chance that Howie Roseman is going to draft a running back with the 10th pick in the draft?
With the 10th pick, normally I always go 99 point, whatever. No, I'm going 100%. I'm going 100%. Now, I always bring up, and I'm honestly, I haven't done much homework. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've watched 7 Bijan Robinson games. There was one running back that the Eagles were considering taking in this era of football in the first round when they had the 14th overall pick in the 2017 draft. They would have selected Christian McCaffrey if he was there. Ultimately went, I believe, number 8. So he didn't even get close.
Not really close.
They would have taken him. So it's always about the player. But if the Eagles are going to take a running back that high, he better have that all-around skill set of Christian McCaffrey. And those guys don't exist very often. I'm pretty sure Bijan Robinson isn't that type of running back. You need to be as impactful in the passing game as you are in the running game. They're not just taking a running back. Even with second rounders, they wanted to take Dalvin Cook that year in the second round. He had some issues off the field. His reputation was very good as a pass catcher. He's been okay. Hasn't been great as a pass catcher in the NFL. And even Miles Sanders, they thought was going to be a real impactful player, and it hasn't worked out that way. But you got to have a well-rounded skill set, even if you're going to be taken in the second round by the Eagles.
Yeah, second round more like, I don't think 31st they're taking a running back either. But at number 10, I'm with you, 100% not happening. because of Howie Roseman's track record. The other three that they put out there as mock drafts, 5 different guys. Jalen Carter, good luck. Bijan Robinson, not happening. The kid Branch, the safety from Alabama. Would you be surprised if they took a safety at number 10?
Yeah. Also position related. A lot depends on, how high they're going to have to go to keep C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't think they want to break the bank there. That's a difficult signing. That really is. So they're going to have to take a defensive player, most likely with that 10th pick, because they're not going to be able to keep everybody. Cornerback, I think, is most likely. Now the problem is, in the little stuff, I don't think this is a great corner draft at the top.
No. Maybe I'm putting a little bit more draft work in than you at this stage because I got to do a national show. This is actually a pretty darn good cornerback draft. Which
No. I'm not saying draft as a whole. I'm saying top 10 at number 10. I haven't seen many mock drafts, and you've certainly looked at more than me. I see the kid from Oregon, but I don't know if he's worthy of the 10th pick. I forget his name. And then Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, that's
number 10. I don't know.
Draft Wire had Joey Porter at number 10 for the Eagles. I gave you the safety. I'll give you the one where they could go offense. I'm with you. I'd say at least 80%. Maybe 85 that they're going to take a defensive guy because they have so many defense free agents. You assume they can't keep them all, and they'll fill in free agency or lose guys via free agency long before the draft ever happens. The kid Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, an interior offensive lineman. I know they just took one last year, high second round, but with the fact that Sam Malu's getting up there in age, that would not shock me because, when in doubt, the Eagles default to the trenches. The trenches can be either offensive line or defensive line. And Skoronski is a guy who I think could even be value at number 10. That's the only way they go offense if they don't go defense in the first round is for it.
Well, remember, Howie's always big about value. So, yeah, I mean, he is obsessed with value. And if he's got the 10th pick, he wants to not only get a good player, he wants to get value at that 10th pick. And he will not hesitate to drop down. So if we're talking about those corners, and if he doesn't think they're worthy at 10, but they're worthy at 15, 16, he'll drop down and he might go in that direction. Defensive line is also, because of all the uncertainty, as good as their defensive line is, they got a ton of free agents. And as you mentioned, it's always trenches. And then the offensive perspective, more likely that high, it would have to be a tackle than an interior guy. And you got to start thinking about the future. Lane Johnson has started to quietly talk about, only playing a few more seasons. You got to think about the future. But that high, it rules out a lot of positions for the way the Eagles think. It really does.
It does. And by the way, watching that championship game last night, I did watch it till I had to go on the air on WIP last night. A guy who the Eagles won't be drafting because he's not even draft eligible. But it just absolutely wowed me. And I saw him playing during this year, but it was the best game I ever saw him play. The Bowers tight end from Georgia.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
He's Dallas Goedert with more speed. He's good. Absolutely a stud in the blocking game. Huge kid. Catches everything that comes his way. Runs through tackles same way Dallas Goedert does. Oh, and runs by guys as well. And he's only a regular sophomore. He's not even a redshirt sophomore, which would make him draft eligible. He's a true sophomore, so he's not even coming out in this year's draft. And he's so far and away the best tight end in football. It's ridiculous. I know the Eagles have Dallas Goedert, but we saw the backup tight ends they have, and they were okay holding down the fort at best. If you could come with a 1-2 punch of those two guys, Bowers and Goddard. I know it's Jody,
Yeah,
you're getting ahead of yourself, 18 months ahead of yourself, but
yeah,
man, was
they're
he a
not
beast
taking.
last night.
There's only one football. You got it. Yeah, you got they're fine. AJ, Devonta Smith. Yeah, they're not taking. They're not taking the kid from Notre Dame as well. It's a good tight end draft. He's more of a sort of Gronk type, I would say, than receiving type. But he can do everything. But yeah, it's a good tight end draft. But the Eagles aren't going to be looking for a tight end.
No, not this year. And the guy I want to take is not eligible, so it doesn't much matter. But man, he was just unstoppable last night. That was scary what they did to TCU. Congrats to Georgia. I know we got a couple Georgia guys who are the Eagles now who were there last year. This year's team might be better than last year's team. Two reasons why I can say that. And I know they almost lost to Ohio State. If the kid makes the field goal on the last play of the game, which he had no chance whatsoever, you talk about missing a field goal. It was wide left off his foot in the Ohio State game. But the beatdown that they put on TCU last night, and they went undefeated. Last year's Georgia team, you remember, did not. They lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game, then turned around and beat the snot out of them in the actual championship.
And they don't even have a real good prospect at quarterback. It's pretty amazing how good
pretty
they've
good.
been.
He's not going to be a starter. He's undersized. No. He's got a good solid arm. He doesn't have a rocket, but he's got a good solid arm. He made himself a draftable player with the performance last time.
Well, yeah, he might get drafted, and probably will get drafted, but he's not going to be a high-level prospect. You normally like Stroud and Bryce Young. I mean, they're high-level prospects, and you expect them to be good at that level. But the fact that Georgia has been as dominant without that type of player at quarterback is pretty impressive. And they're one of the only teams that plays a modicum of defense at the college level, and even they get waxed occasionally in SEC games.
And their defense returned. I was actually questioning their defense because they gave up 30 against LSU in the SEC championship game, gave up 40 to Ohio State in the semifinals. Oh, they showed up last night. They took TCU completely out of their game. It was pretty damn impressive by the Bulldogs. All right, John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are expecting to be joined next by Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philly. Dave G going to do a spot with us as we talk about the Eagles moving forward into the playoffs against who we don't know, who we prefer. That's something we'll ask Dave Zangaro next here on